guys gotta tell me this stuff before. Alright. Where's my coffee? People, somebody grab me something from craft.
Please
services.
listen carefully.
I'm hungry.
こんばんは、ハルビさん、ザマ先輩くんです。俺はフローネンポンです。YouTube と Twitch ライブストリーマル。はじめまして。そして私はあなたと仕事をしたい。お願いします。どうも。ハルビさん。ハルビさん。こんにちは。
お前、死にたいか？あ？貴様。俺はな、お前の終わりです。ライブストリーム？バカバカしい。ライブストリームなら何か面白いことができますか？いいえ、できない。なぜなら、現実でお前はただのクソガキです。ああ、そうです。これはな、 これは私のライブストリーム。お前はもう死んでいる。さよなら、ローニン・ポーヌさん。
Hello, I am the Ronin Pawn, and welcome
And
to Harvey.
I'm so
clapping
I
hands and
fucked it
stuff.
up.
No. I didn't give you much of an opportunity there.
No.
Plus, we all
Rewind.
enjoyed your jazz hands. That's the best part of the show for me.
Thank you. I have a tendency to always just, whenever you're speaking, I can't help but move my body. Move my body. I want to be animated live.
Well, you'll
Welcome
kind
to
of
Harv and Born.
do that a little bit later in the Adventures of Daryl. You'll be animated.
That's true. I had a pun brewing in my mind as well, but you got there first. So how are you today?
I'm
Ronan
good.
Born? How's it going?
Yeah. I had to run out for beer. I hadn't had beer for like 36 hours or something. So new personal record, new PB.
New PB. We're going to be talking
Yeah.
about a lot of PBs today. And we don't mean the peanut butter variety.
It doesn't mean peanut butter?
We went over the show notes together. You thought we were talking about peanut butter?
Yeah, peanut butter, invisible leprechaun. Okay. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, I've been doing okay. I've been doing a little bit of like electrical engineering and stuff. So watchers of the show will know from the last episode, perhaps, that my third monitor with which I use to view the lovely Harv sitting over there was flickering on and off because I've got myself a problem in the little control board that's just got the buttons and LEDs and stuff on it. So this week, what I've done is I just took that board off completely, and I use my my just meters and bridge out pins in order to turn it off and on. And you know what? It still doesn't fucking work. I turned it on, and about 20 minutes after, into like our pre-show meeting, it clicked on. I don't fucking know what's going on around here. So I'm not
So
great
it's
with
on
the soldering
now.
iron. Yes, it is
I'm
on,
here
and
now.
it stayed on for this time as opposed to last time. I now also know because I just ripped the board off, so now I just got like a thin strand of that tape, that's got the little pins at the end of it. So I now know exactly which ones to like hit to change the contrast and stuff. It's actually kind of cool to just be jumping pins. Now, if
I
the
love
fucking
this
thing would
image
turn
of this
on-
like ghetto Ronin born hacker down in his basement, jumping pins on a control board.
Yeah, this is what I
There's
use to turn the monitor on. Is this scope, this like $5 scope that I got from a hardware
yeah.
store once. It works. It works. I can also see it pulsing for, I guess, for the LEDs and the stuff. There's a certain, all the channels really just pulse regularly. Boop. I can watch the needle jump. So I know that's really interesting to everyone who tuned in to hear about speedrunning and whatnot, but we don't really plan the opens that much.
Let's not kid ourselves. People didn't tune in to hear about speedrunning. They tuned in for your buoyant personality. And if that means talking about jumping pins, then that's what they're here for.
I think they tuned in because everybody's waiting for like a follow-up to Harv Reed's Pawn. I think that's why. That's the only thing that really keeps people coming back at this point.
Yeah, I know we were thinking at the time that like we may as well make that video because we got to make it sooner or later, so let's do it sooner. But it may have set a precedent that we didn't quite intend for. I don't know if we get patrons wanting more Harv Reed's Porn, then who are we to deny the demands of the market? I suppose.
Harvey, I'm gonna ask you to like just say hello to chat and read off some names and stuff because I realized that I've got
Yes.
you way too far to the left in your camera and I need to do some work.
I was just about to like pretend to headbutt the microphone a little bit. Right, so on Twitch right now we apparently have a guy called Jim. Hello there, Jim. We have Dgelesus, download complete 20, ECL_GMG, Gemskull83, hologram_1, also known as Latra, Little Magnets, Lofiloop, that's a great one, Lofiloop. Maurice has moss. Maurice, how did you acquire your moss? Prosecutor Walton, got any good cases on right now?
Definitely hasn't been doing enough rolling, or else, you wouldn't grow any.
Random Mame. I got the moss there.
Yeah, it was a bad one. It was like, thanks for that pun. Oh, we're all so much better off now.
Oh, right. You're doing a swing and a miss. I thought you were r/whooshing over my head. But no,
no, I haven't.
Yeah. Rodbotic, thanks for watching the stream. We hope you enjoyed today. Shadows, hacks, please don't hack us. That's more down to porn. That's his job.
All right, I figured you out. You can stop saying hello to these people. I've actually been told in the past that it is bad form to say hello to the lurkers, and I'm like, why? What's the problem?
Why?
You know, like they don't want to. If you don't want to be seen here, don't be here, baby. Okay, I'm gonna call out every single one of you. Just go through you and give like your physical descriptions and the size of things and whatnot, if I can tell. By the way, 6 inches, 6.2. And I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. Who's he talking?
Apparently, I don't know what reasons you've been told that for, to not say those are lurkers, but I remember live streaming, and when I called them out by name, they would tab out from the game they were playing to be like, hey, he said my name, and then they would get shot in whatever game it was and lose. So sorry, I apologize.
If we just ruined your speed run, we'll pull it around to that eventually.
Segue, just
You know what? We don't usually jump into the first thing though. First, first things first. If we're gonna have a show, a Harv and Pwan show, we need to roll the first clip. We need to play a little bit of Daryl, the continuing adventures of Daryl, our role-playing skit segment where Harv and I sat down and for I think it was just like about 2-hour-long session, right? Maybe an hour and a half, 2-hour-long session.
It was something like that, yeah, not far off.
And just improv. I mean, Harv had a strong idea for like the setting and the opening and that kind of stuff. And within the first 15 minutes, apparently we were out of what he had planned for and just into the wild territories and bouncing off of each other and figuring out what was going to be next.
It's great, actually. At some point, I want to tell you all about... I've had an interesting weekend. I drove back to Sheffield, which is where I went to uni, and met up with a load of friends and ran another roleplay co-op storytelling D&D-esque thing. And this one I planned out, not minutely, because that never works, but I planned it quite a lot. And it still just ends up going off the rails, and you can never plan enough, / you should never try and plan enough. Daryl has worked out really well so far, in terms of I didn't expect to plan any details, I just knew that you would be able to take what came your way and make it entertaining, and that is exactly what happened. So, do we want to dive straight into Daryl, episode 3?
In fact, that's exactly what happened.
So, you slammed open that prison door, proudly escaping into freedom, or so you thought, and instead found yourself hemmed in on either side by crowds, as the town had come out to watch your impending execution.
I wave, say hi.
One of the kids near you kind of goes, hi, and his mum's like, shh, don't say that, don't say that. Shut up, Adrian. It's Junior. The person at the gallows is kind of surprised to see you emerge so willingly, and in those eyes of his that are more than willing to kill you, you also see a bit of surprise at the lack of guards around you. But hey, whatever works. He'll come get you himself if he needs to.
Alright, well, I feel like I should address the crowd. In character, of course, so... I say, "What's all this then? Planning a hanging, are ye?"
And they all just stare at you like... And one guy at the back of the crowd maybe kind of goes, "Yeah. Yeah, that's right." Clearly these lot aren't the most witty of characters. Common townspeople. You hear a bit of crying maybe as the wife of Adrian somewhere in the crowd is kind of like, "He murdered my husband, oh!" And yeah.
Okay.
But no one
That's
really
not
makes any
going well
attempt
for
to...
me.
They kind of... Some people are looking at you kind of like, "Go on then, get up there." But no one's really stepping out of line to come and force you anywhere.
Well, I've got a bit of a curveball. So, here's my thought. Everyone, excuse me for a minute. Turn around. Go back inside.
They are so impressed. Oh, I wonder. They are not... They don't know what to think, and you just turn around and walk straight back into prison. And as you close the door, one of them kind of whispers like, Did he forget something?" And
I have forgotten something, indeed.
as you walk back
I've
inside,
forgotten.
Dave comes barreling out, and you kind of collide with each other. And just at the moment that he does, you get a sensation of something streaming across the room. It's facing towards Bob. It's like a soul enters your body suddenly, and a little wave of energy crackles through you. And as Dave is bowed into you, a little kind of spark you see go up into the air, and then fades off quickly. And you have recovered the amount of soul that was imbued into Bob.
Excellent.
Says the demon in your head.
Yes, that's that. That's
Yeah.
it.
And Dave grabs you,
often
turns you around, and starts marching you back out the door. And the crowd is like, "Hey, yeah, it's him again." And you walk outside. And you are now briskly being escorted to the gallows. But the energy crackles within you. You have 9/10 still remaining. Having recovered 1/10 from Bob and 1/10 still being in Jim.
Well, seeing as Dave already has his arms on me, I'm thinking that I turn to Dave and I say, "But Dave, doesn't the king want to see me first?"
And the power is imbued into Dave. What fraction of your total are you going to give him?
Let's see, what would the Hypnotoad do? I'm going to say 3 out of the 9. Yeah?
Okay, you can refer to it just like, assume that you have all of them. So you can be like 1/4 and it will just be 1/4 of the total available to you.
Okay.
So 3/10.
Yeah.
3/10 flow out of your body and a crackling goes up in the air and the little sparks go into the air. Luckily not
No,
igniting
shards.
anything.
Shards, absolutely. Everyone's sharding suddenly. There's just it's stinking.
I mean, you certainly
Although you can't tell.
You spent your life around manure spreading, and there's one reason you got allocated to that job.
I know the difference between human stink and animal stink. This is definitely the human variety.
Dave kind of jerks back, and then he's like, Yeah, the king did ask to see you. I'm fairly sure." And he takes you by the arm, but less briskly this time, and he kind of escorts you up to the gallows, but he's ahead of you. And he makes motions to the executioner, and he's like, "Wasn't the king supposed to see him?" And the executioner, whose name you don't know, "Why would the king want to see this piece of shit?" "Oh, I don't know, I mean, isn't that the kind of thing that happens? Big executions, king comes along, says a few words." "No, you're thinking of marriages. And only of important people anyway. Why would the king want to come anywhere near the little town of Aladale?" "Oh, I don't know." And Dave seems at a bit of a loss for words. But, the crowd surrounds
I'm
you
a
still.
witch!
I'm a witch! You're gonna shout that out.
Yeah, I'm a witch! The king wanted to see a witch!
The crowd gasps. It has been revealed that Daryl the manure spreader was a witch all along. One guy in the back kind of goes, "Wouldn't that be a wizard?" And they go, "Shh, shut up, it's a witch." The person next to him. And suddenly rumours, I mean, the crowd has been a bit surprised until now, but crowds do what crowds do, and people start chattering amongst themselves. "A witch," he said. "God, is he really a witch? Well, it kind of makes sense if you think about it. Why would it make sense? Why would he willingly be a manure spreader? He must have been doing something else with his spare time. God, no one sane would do that, unless he was a witch." And theories are bubbling everywhere, they're evolving, being twisted around in a great big game of Chinese whispers. And eventually they come back. And Dave has latched onto this idea. Yeah, there was something about a witch, I'm fairly sure. The king wanted to execute the witch himself. Now, luckily, the executioner he's there because he likes executing people. Mm-hmm. And so his main priority is just to be the one who kills you. He's not necessarily too fussed about whether or not the king has to be there. And so he kind of gives it a bit of a pondering for a second, and he's... "Well, you know, Dave, I've always viewed you as a very reliable guy. I mean, I know you do have a tendency to share a mug with Miranda, but I haven't told anyone about that. So if you say the king's got to see him, then I suppose the king's got to see him." And with that, the crowd erupts into a roar. "Yeah, kill the witch, kill..." And it's, they sound quite enthusiastic about it. But
as
a messenger
they would be.
is nearby, and somehow the town organizers, maybe the mayor is there, and the mayor sends the messenger off. Go speak to the king. We must confirm these stories. And off he goes. And in the meantime, everyone's quite confused, so naturally these people came here to see an execution. It seems like that's been postponed. The mayor, who doesn't have much agency in this town, he's more of a figurehead than anything. He kind of addresses everyone. He's like, "Well, it seems to be the case that the execution won't be happening today." "Aww," goes the crowd. "We'll have to confine Daryl back to his cell until such a time that further word from the king can arrive." And so Dave kind of takes you by the shoulders again and starts escorting you back into the jail. And just as he does, the 10th from Jim streams through and imbues itself back inside you.
Man, there's so many things coming and going into me.
Are you sure you didn't want to choose prostitute as your profession?
Invigorating. Yeah.
It's not too late to change. No, it is.
I mean, I don't think I have any room on my plate now, between witch and shit farmer. It's just a lot.
You're a man of many talents, Daryl. So, you have a fair amount of your extra soul still hanging around inside you now. 3/10 of which are currently in Dave, and he's pretty sure he's trying to get you to the king, but he doesn't really have the cognitive ability to know why. But
I mean, I'd like to just suggest to Dave, do you really want to keep the king waiting for a messenger to come and go and all that sort of a thing? Don't you remember? I'm pretty sure he said, "I want to see this guy." I mean, I'm pretty sure he said, "I want to see this guy." Right? In it, eh?
Mate?
Dave
was like, "Oh,
in the pub, innit?
I mean, I kind of vaguely... something about that." It's pretty clear that further persuasion doesn't have any effect over him. It's more that he's just susceptible to the story that you told him originally, which is that the king wanted to see him, or something to that effect. So he's not... he doesn't really have the brain functioning at this point to do any more.
Damn it.
But there are plenty of other people around, including more influential people. People of all sorts come to see these executions, rare as they are in the peaceful village town of Aladel.
Yes, you did mention the mayor, didn't you? I wonder if there's an archbishop or a Dionysus on hand.
Yeah, Dionysus is just there swilling his wine. So, yes, I wanted to watch the witch burn too. No, sadly he's not there. He couldn't make it today.
God damn it.
Yeah.
I sent him that email, too.
But Dave is currently escorting you back towards the prison, so he's a little while away.
I don't know. It's just been so much today. You know? I didn't kill anybody. That wasn't me. I don't know what happened, and then all of a sudden I'm in a jail cell, and they're telling me this, and then I got things coming in and out of me just constantly since then.
The crowd has caught on to the idea of you being a witch, and they're not really happy to hear you protest your innocence now.
It's just, Harv, it's been a long day. There's already been a lot going on here. I feel like my character in this scenario is just like, fuck it, just put me in the cell. This is a lot. just put me away for now.
And so Daryl doesn't resist as Dave leads him back inside. Bob and Jim are sitting down at the table, very confused.
What did we tell? Oh, yeah, right. Bob punched the wall.
Bob is nursing his hand. Jim has bandaged it for him, it seems.
Jim's wife, Miranda. I wish I could be like a fly on the wall inside Jim's head to know whether or not he's still like, did Dave really? What was I on about? Or like, what is his experience? I don't know.
You don't know. You don't know whether he remembers anything for the past few minutes, or whether he still believes what you told him, or whether he knows it was wrong and he knows something was up. You don't know anything.
This is great. I love this. And that is the adventures of Daryl. And David, apparently now, right? Is Dave the one who's running with me?
Yeah, Dave. It was Jim and Bob, I believe, who were left in the prison, and now it's Dave, who is your
because of course I
right-hand
can't
man.
actually hear it as that's playing. You know, I'm just deaf, and Harv's sitting over here telling me the movements of it, and I'm trying to guess when we're coming back to the show. But yeah, that's cool.
That's why
my favorite character. You know, I've been reading the John Dies at the End series of books by David Wong, which is the author's pseudonym because that's the name of the character in the book, and Dave has become, you know, just synonymous. Whenever I hear, you know, Dave or David, I just think of that character in that book.
Think of him.
Yeah, it was very 90s, you know, lethargic, just, you know, it's like amazing things are happening to him and around him, and like he's dealing with it, but he's not processing it at all.
Yeah. Is it just like everything is another weird thing to add to the list, and he's so overprocessed at this point that... Yeah, all right.
Yeah, basically that. Yeah. I really love those books. There's 3 in the series now, and I recommend the first 2 heartily, and the third one as a, you know, now you're in, so keep reading it. But John Dies at the End, followed by This Book is Full of Spiders, Seriously, Dude, Don't Touch It. And then the latest book is What Did I Just Read? And the third one is just like, to me at least, it was just like a fun continuance of these characters going on another adventure, whereas the first 2 are just fucking epic and break your ideas of reality and mix Lovecraftian horror with, I don't know, this 90s slacker sensibility and a really interesting storytelling mechanic that I've rarely seen before, where like I feel like when I step back from it and start thinking about how the author is writing these books, the characters have arcs, but I feel like their arcs are not the important arc. Like, it feels like he's writing the arc for you to have the arc. Like, you as the reader are the one having the arc, and the characters have, like, a much smaller arc that doesn't really... It doesn't bother you that there's no substantial character development and they've changed and they've grown by the end, because you kind of have, just in being exposed to these weird new ideas.
I mean, specifically, though, like, your perception of the events in the novel has changed and that's the arc? Or just that the novel is full of so much fucked up stuff that you're undoubtedly going to be traumatized by the end of it? That kind of arc?
I'd say because it does a lot with like just it does a lot with like various. There's different dimensions going on. There's your perception of the events around you in the book that do change, that absolutely do change throughout the book. And I feel like there's an undertone in this Lovecraftian horror kind of scheme of like spirituality, because it's dealing with, you know, demons and monsters from other dimensions and trying to come up with rational explanations for why this all happens. And yeah, I feel like the arc is your arc as a spiritual growth, because by the end of it, you will be questioning what your eyes are telling you, or what you know of the true world, or what, you know, your identity is, or something like that, just based on the events of the book. And it does all that, you know, while it's just sort of floating along in this, you know, 90s slacker movie kind of format. It just feels like a Bill and Ted adventure, except with a lot more punch in the groin when it comes to, you know, the ontology of existence. I wonder if that
Sounds
describes Lovecraft too, because I've never really read any Lovecraft stuff, but Lovecraftian.
No, I've only ever come across direct offshoots of Lovecraftian-esque things. Like, played a great tabletop game called Arkham Horror, which is all Lovecraftian inspired. And there's been so many, I
No
guess,
Batman
film and
reference
other...
in the Arkham thing, or
No. I don't know the exact etymology of Arkham. Batman must have got it from somewhere else. I don't know whether they got it from Lovecraft or whether there's some common root in the two.
yeah, I don't know
know.
where it comes from either, but I do know that it's like I feel like it was a author who created an analog for York City. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like I know that story of York City, and he named it Arkham, and then that just kind of caught on when, you
It was
know,
like a
whoever was writing Batman.
microcosm city thing, isn't it? Where it's supposed to be like the dark, kind of violent crime amplified to 200 decibels, and yeah. Yeah, I don't know. But Lovecraftian is a really cool style that gets mimicked a lot nowadays in various ways.
Yeah, I was just thinking,
Yeah.
what's the series of games? Like it started out with you go underwater and there's a 1950s era thing, and he built the
BioShock?
yeah, BioShock. I feel like that's been heavily inspired by Lovecraft, and having never read Lovecraft, but I feel like
Well,
that's
from my
comparison's
understanding,
been made a lot.
Lovecraft is like so existential psychedelic horror that it's that kind of horror that plays on the unimaginable. Like a million different mirror dimensions, and each one there's a tentacle wiggling. You know, just you can't possibly. Whereas Bioshock, I think, has more the kind of psychological creepiness to it. But again, I haven't read Lovecraft either, so what do I know? You know?
That's exactly dead
Yeah.
on for the John dies at the end series, though. The idea of a million tentacles wriggling in a million dimensions, and
Yeah.
it's so good. It's so good. The things you can see and the things you can't see, and everything's, you know, put forward as the idea of, you know, people seeing ghosts and monsters and demons and devils and whatnot. And it's like, this is your brain trying to deal with shit that it can't deal with. Like, what you
Yeah.
see is based more on you than what actually is. And then it presents that as a very, very reasonable argument. Like, that is exactly how your brain works. When it sees something that it can't accept, it tries to cobble together from the visual information something that it knows, that it has experienced before. And then you get the image that you see in the end, and it's like just the realization as you're reading, you know, that series of books more and more, and it being hammered home more and more throughout the books, that your perception of reality is the narrowest, skinniest.
Yeah.
We've taken out like
Tiniest
90%
part
of the data.
spectrum.
Yeah, the light you can't see, the images you can't process, the audio you can't hear, all the stuff that we take advantage of in electrical engineering and everything. Like, if you could hear all the spectrums of audio, you would be ripping your fucking ears out right now. You would be stabbing yourself in the eardrums so that you wouldn't have to listen to the screech of your wireless router and the AM FM radio signals that are vibrating through your body right now.
I love that whole concept of trying to rationally explain or give rational explanations for things which are just incomprehensible or just crazy and fantastical. Like, there's an author I really like, fantasy author called Brandon Sanderson. And his whole deal is that he invents magic systems in his novels, systems whereby users can use magic. And it's fantastical, but it's so well rationalized and so consistently done throughout. It's the other end of the scale of sci-fi hardness to like Harry Potter, where and something happens. This is like he's got it down to a science, and I just love that. And I always try and kind of whenever I write fiction and I write things, I go for that and try and find some rationalization for the way things are. And it's great as well because when you try and take that approach, you find a lot of stuff just writes itself. Like you're trying to fill in this jigsaw of how a thing works, and if you come across a missing piece, you really just look at the pieces around it and go, well, it has to work like this. That's the only way it makes sense. And it's great. It's a great tool. And it
think
works
I've
so well
actually
for...
just found an in for speedrunning in what you're saying there.
Oh
Because,
my
like,
God.
the idea of figuring out why a thing works the way it does and sort of reverse engineering that in order to define the thing in your own head as you're designing
Yeah.
it. Like, so I think
Yeah.
speedrunning has a huge impact there in game design in a very similar kind of a way. That you may have an idea for, it's just going to be a platform, it's going to be this, it's going to be that. But when you start looking at the game and thinking of it the way that a speedrunner is going to and trying to find the optimal path and the optimal strategies and stuff, you find the places, you find out, one, why the system should work the way it should work, and then you find all of those places where you can expect the player is going to try and move through, and then you can shove some shit in their way. Which has definitely been my experience in speedrunning.
Yeah, I do wonder to what degree developers... Wait, are we getting into this conversation now? Are we gonna go for it? Is that the main event time?
I mean, yeah. It's in the title anyway, we should talk about it. Lovecraftian, I
do
don't
it.
know, or maybe we should just keep going down Lovecraftian storytelling,
Nah.
and
No,
which
it's too
neither
late
of us
now, we
have
can't
any
go back.
experience in whatsoever. We'll just improvise a 2-hour
Yes.
skit on some shit that we don't know about.
All right, let me just change the live stream title real quick. Yeah, I do wonder to what degree developers consider speedrunning when they develop. Like, obviously, it's going to change from person to person, but there's definitely going to be like two sides of the spectrum. There'll be the people who will go, brilliant, people might take up our game if we make it friendly for speedrunning, and so they'll like try and maybe not design levels, that's quite an investment of time, but make considerations towards a flow to the level that can be like either exploited or at least just refined. And then there'll be people on the other end who go, we want people to take in the atmosphere of this level, and so make sure they can't go through it too quickly.
And those people
Yeah.
will be sadly disappointed when they find out that somebody has figured out a click mechanic and a way to stack their movement bonuses in such a way as to just fly across the level.
And
if you
I
try
think
and stop
those-
speedrunners actively from being able to speedrun, you are creating like code for them to exploit. I'm just saying.
Exactly. Right. I have the greatest story about exactly that. I believe it was Half-Life. Maybe Half-Life 1, maybe Half-Life 2. Source engine, regardless. Bunny hopping was a faster way to move. Run, jump, just as you land, jump again at the right timing, and you would just skip along and get faster. And so Valve were like, we don't want that. That's game breaking. How about if someone runs and jumps a bit too fast, we'll just apply a slight negative acceleration just to keep them at bay, stop them from accelerating too fast.
Sounds like a good
Slight-
idea. What could go wrong?
Sounds like a great idea. Slight negative vector, yeah. Relative to what? Relative to direction of movement? No. Just relative to the way the player's facing. Oh, really? So, if you run backwards, and jump. You just whoosh, accelerate. It's like a shot out of a gun. It's amazing. They eventually patched it, but it was just some of the best speedruns. There's a YouTuber whose name I can't quite remember right now, but I've seen so many of his videos because it's all Half-Life 1, Half-Life 2, and he just makes it sound so unremarkable. Kind of like John dies at the end. You're saying that he takes it all very mundanely and whatnot. He's just like, yeah, hello, welcome back to some speedrun technique for Half-Life 2. So what we're going to do here is slip around and do an accelerated back hop down this tunnel and reach about 5,000 miles per hour. We're going to jump, we're going to fly over this lake, and we're going to land on the other side in the water. It's great. And yeah, I think some of the best things in speedrunning have come from developers deliberately trying to reduce its likelihood.
Yeah, actually, as you're
Its
talking about
efficacy.
that backwards hopping tactic, it's making me think of Super Mario 64. I don't think this was like designed in; it just ended up being a thing. But SM64, the BLJ, the backwards long jump, which is something where you set up basically, if you start a little hop and you're moving backwards, then you can set up, you can chain together these long jumps in such a way that you can be like pressed against a wall and just go and it will stack. It will add every bit of speed that you were supposed to get from each one of those long jumps.
Oh, I've seen this.
Yeah, until you've got so much speed that the game can't calculate collisions, so you'll just fly right through walls and terrain and everything like that.
Have you seen that video? I can't remember what the name of the YouTuber is again, but Super Mario 64, I think it must be that one, seeing as you're talking about it now. The coordinate system loops on itself and creates effectively parallel universes. Have you seen that video?
No, actually.
Oh my god, this is such a great story to tell you. So long story short, there's a glitch. It might not be Super Mario 64 then. It might be something else. But you stick yourself in a specific corner somewhere and run, and your speed just builds and builds and builds and builds and builds whilst just stationary on the spot. And eventually you can boom, bing, and zip off the map. But the way they do collisions means that your like coordinates in the physical map will loop on themselves. And so if you shoot off of the edge of one map in a far enough manner, you'll end up on the other side of the map.
So like
And
Pac-Man style.
Kind of, yeah. But rather than being back where you were, you are still very far over in this direction. It's just that like it's like the colliders are all duplicated everywhere. They're stacked up in a whole grid. And so there's an optimal route for completing that game without ever jumping. Super Mario game without ever jumping. I think it was like half an A press. You have to press A on an Xbox controller once, and that's enough to complete the level. By building up enough velocity and timing it exactly right to bounce off of colliders in these various different parallel universes, such that you make altitude as you go and zip back into the real 0-0 universe just in the right location to be at the end.
To do the Bowser
so
throws.
much-
Wow, okay.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's so much
I
more
wonder if
nuance.
that's its own
I think
category.
I think he made the
Interdimensional
category.
category.
Yeah, the category was like minimal A presses, basically. The run takes. This is what it doesn't really come under speedrunning. The run takes, I think, over 24 hours. For a level which should take a few minutes, because you have to build up the speed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's a challenge category of just like, we're not going to press this button or as few times as we can. Like you'll have various games run as, no coin challenges and stuff like that, which really changes the game. Any Mario game suddenly becomes a completely different, harrowing adventure if you have to avoid the coins, which the developers often use as symbols of where you should be jumping. It's like, oh, shit. Everything's in my
I've
way.
not seen any of those, but that sounds like hilarious to watch and very frustrating to run.
Indeed. I should say, one of the reasons why we're talking about speedrunning today is that I am, in fact, the fourth fastest cluster truck speedrunner in my category in the world.
Fourth place.
What? Houston?
Oh, damn push to talk.
Are you belittling my PB in cluster truck?
No. Well, I mean, fourth place is kind of no place, but whatever.
Dude, that is so uncool. Jesus.
I mean, no one gives medals for fourth, unless we're talking Pee Wee Sports where everyone gets a trophy and a slice of pizza just for showing up. It's an also-ran ranking.
Houston, you have no idea how many hours I've put into cluster truck no ability percent in order to come up with a sub 127. I have a 126 in no ability percent.
Well, no ability sounds like the right category for you then.
What? Jesus, what a dick this guy is. Good God. I'd like to see you do better.
Sorry, bruh. I'm too busy busting PBs in real speedrun games to bother smashing your not quite bronze in the gotta go slow category.
Okay. This is ridiculous.
Wait, Houston, you're a speedrunner as well?
I may have some segment holdings in SM64, OOT, DKC, BK.
Oh yeah, Banjo-Kazooie, that's a real man's speedrun.
Don't be jelly of the god strats, bro.
Okay, let's just call it here and call it with the bros, Houston. That's fighting talk in the live stream speedrunning community. We don't need another incident. You know, Twitch is still kind of holding back on monetizing us.
Just saying, if you've never BLJ'd 100 coin in HMC, you're not a real runner.
SM64 console scrubs.
Hey, I was routing god strats while you were filling diapers, bruh.
Okay, both of you, back to your corners. This fight is over.
Whatever, I'm stepping out for a chili dog and some Code Red. Peace.
Yeah, go. Go.
Yeah,
need
get us some
that in my life.
Starbucks while you're there. Huh.
That was not scripted. Thank you. I like that.
What do you mean scripted? What are you talking about? It's
no,
Houston. I was just
that's
we're
right.
having an argument.
That's what happened there. But okay, so legitimately, I am the fourth fastest speedrunner in cluster truck in the world in the no ability percent category. No ability percent being, thank you. No ability percent being the where you turn off all of the abilities. Cluster Truck comes with a number of tools and abilities that you unlock through playing the game. So you've got like the ability to hover. There's a grappling hook you can enable. There's a portable truck which comes in basically a Pokemon ball, a Pokeball that you just throw at the ground, and suddenly there's an 18-wheel truck. Yeah, right where you threw the Pokeball. So what the any percent category combines in order to run the game is a combination of the levitate ability and the portable truck. Because the portable truck can be used to, if you push yourself right against a wall and then throw the truck, well, suddenly you're within the truck, and the truck doesn't want you within it, so you go flying across the map. So, yeah, no ability percent says, you know what? I don't need all that. I don't need all these methods that are going to help. Like, the development of the game definitely hinged upon the idea that you'll play the game, and then as you play, you'll acquire points, then you'll go over and you'll buy the abilities, and you'll turn the abilities on, and so the levels, as they go on, get harder and harder, and are designed to include, you know, an assumption that you're going to be using the abilities. No ability percent says, fuck all that. We got, you know, elite god level hacksaw skills. Skizzles.
I never knew that. I've seen you run no ability percent many times. I always just assumed it was actually a joke that you had no ability at the game. I never knew that there were abilities in Cluster Truck. So what you're saying is you took a game and took out all of the most interesting mechanics about it and decided that would be what you'd spend hours and hours and hours playing.
Yes, that is correct.
I commend you, sir, on your balls.
It is. It's just the challenge of it, you know. And
No, I like that.
if you play in any percent, the any percent category, the massive challenge of that is the portable truck boost, which is what it's called in the category, the PTB, which is, you know, the fine science and art of placing your trucks in such a way that will fire you across the level entirely, skipping the whole damn thing, without sending you flying into a hazard or flying, you know, just off the map, that kind of a thing. So there's a challenge in each of the versions, but my thing, people in the cluster truck community will hate me for this, but my thing is if you haven't run no ability percent, then you don't know how slow you're going. Because I have watched any percent runs where these guys are like struggling to try, you know, they're trying to pull together, okay, so if I do a float here and then I throw the truck down and then the other thing and the other thing, and I'm watching their time in the corner going, and that's slower than when I just run it without any of the abilities.
Oh, so in that case, I mean, do you think that you have the skills from playing no ability percent to take a stab at any percent? I mean, obviously you wouldn't have any of the skills of the abilities, but it sounds like a godlike combination of the two is on its way.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, any percent is a whole challenge in and of itself to get like the portable truck boosts, but you take the run that I can already do and add in the ability to just levitate, even if I didn't take the portable trucks along. My run right now in no ability percent category is, I think, 21st place in any percent. So if we moved my run over to that segment, I'm already, you know, almost in the top 20. I might be in
On
the
the
top
leaderboard,
20,
yeah.
in fact, on the leaderboard for any percent. So give me the ability to float across things and boom, I'm, you know, inching toward the top 10. Give me the ability to throw a truck out and burst across the level without having to do any work. And yeah, I could definitely start top 10ing any percent if I, you know, decided to move out of my category and into any percent, but I'm really just trying to get good at no ability percent. I still haven't hit my, you know, where I want to be. Right now, my best run is a 26-minute, 14-second clear of Cluster Truck, and the world record, when I first came on board, the world record for Cluster Truck was like 24 and a half minutes. It has been driven down sub 24 at this point. So putting in the 26 is nice and all, but I want to be putting in a 26, 27 on my average run as opposed to my best, and then hopefully put in, you know, a god level run that had a lot to do with randomness, because the game is full of RNG. And in fact, you know what? We should do a breakdown of terminology in
Yes.
speedrunning. I didn't even put that
Decode
one on
all
the
of these
list.
weird things that you've been saying that
Yeah, now that shoot, I lost the comma. There it is. Now that we've been talking about it for a while, we should talk about some of the terminology of speedrunning. If you're unfamiliar, there are some basic terms. PB means peanut butter. IL is the invisible leprechaun, of course.
Yes, of course, yeah. Segment is a name for a piece of a satsuma.
Or it's the pizza you eat afterwards. It depends on which company you're in. You know, certain communities think of it different. PB, personal best. So that's going to be, you know, the best you've ever run the game. My PB is 26 minutes and some seconds, 26, 14, something like that. IL, individual level. So if you're speaking about, you know, just an individual level, pretty, you know, but in terms of timing and stuff, people will sometimes track individual levels. Sometimes they'll track segments. When we're speaking about segments, it tends to be a group of levels that have been, you know, put together in games that just make sense that way. Like, well, Super Mario 64, you've got the worlds, that you enter into through the paintings, and the individual levels would be individual stars, basically. And then the segment would be if you got all of the stars from that level. Or if
Yeah.
you don't need them all, you know. Strat. Strat is, just short for strategy. It's, your elite god gamer strats, brah, and developing like a new strat is an epic feeling. It really makes you feel like, oh wow, I'm a real speedrunner now. I found a way to go a little bit faster.
I'm adding to this community.
Yeah, yeah. Which is very closely tied to route. Routing a game is, it can be about the strats, about the strategy for a certain level. Like, okay, I'm going to take a jump off of here and a jump off of there, and it's faster. But the route can also be like intentionally losing time in one place to pick up time somewhere else. In a lot of games, you'll find that the fastest route for an individual level or for a segment actually puts you behind elsewhere because you could have been doing this other thing that's slower up front but faster in the long run. So routing a game can be thought of as separate from, having a strat for an individual level.
I believe you'll find it's called route.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Most of our
the
audience
Harv and porn
is not
show.
in America, Porn. You gotta... I'm kidding, it's fine. Yes, RNG. RNG. Random number generator, right?
Yeah.
The game's hinging on the randomness. And I believe you're the expert, but with Cluster Truck, the actual spawn location of most of the trucks is shifted somewhat through random numbers.
Yeah, kind of. I feel like the trucks, I'm not sure if they spawn in a little bit differently. They might spawn in a little different. What definitely happens at the beginning of any cluster truck level with the RNG is that there's a world shake. So you get the trucks, they're spawned in, and there's a little bit of world shake, and I feel like that world shake just gets them all going a little bit in a different direction every time. And all the trucks in cluster truck are set up so that they will try to follow a certain path to get where they're going to go. But they will be moved around by the world shake and by a little bit of RNG and by each other bouncing into them as they're trying to correct, and they have a tendency to overcorrect. And it can turn a very normal level into a hellacious level. There are certain levels in the game where I know, like, okay, that, you'll get into a level and the load that you got, the RNG you got is like, that's a 1 in 20 chance, that's a 1 in 50 chance. I've never seen that shit before. What the fuck? There's
And that's a whole kind of conversation in and of itself. Whether for speedrunning it's desirable to play games which have RNG to them, and if so, to what degree.
very much
Like,
two
I know
different-
Minecraft speedruns, I think it obviously does so many different categories for Minecraft at this point that it's kind of useless to talk about any one in particular. But I was watching one recently where it's not, they don't choose a specific seed to run, but they run it just provided they can get the right biome to start in. So they'll just regen. Okay, it's a savanna. Let's go. And it's like, yeah.
It's interesting the kind of categories that come up too, depending on the game. What people decide that they want to run and what they don't want to run. And also, like, what challenges they want to pose to themselves. Because I remember watching a GDQ of Minecraft where it was a seed that was known to the runner. And, he'd practiced that seed, and the whole thing was to, I know exactly where everything's going to be, I know exactly the route I'm going to take, but it's about the movement and, the repetition of the exact strategy every time in order to get to the place, do the thing, go to the nether, collect the thing, and then to the ender dragon, and get it done in, like, an hour and something. But it is based on, in that run, it was based heavily upon just knowing what was coming, which, for me, as someone in the cluster truck community, is like, that's not my kind of speed run, obviously, because I've chosen a game that is, and a method of playing the game that is just overwhelming with randomness.
But I think in many ways, it might be a less interesting and enjoyable experience, that kind of thing. But in terms of what you view as your ideal pure speedrunning, it's going to be more repeatable, and more competitively fair. Because everyone is running the exact same race. It's like having a 100-meter sprint, but occasionally you'll get random little tufts of dirt, which might make you trip over. It's like that's not the ideal for running a race. So if
On
you
the
use speedrunning
sides of
purely
the
as
race, there's just people like rolling 20-sided die, and if it comes up one, they run out and try and hit you in the legs, and you got to be ready for that shit.
Yeah. Or they just get like a whole box of Lego, and they'll just throw Lego all over the track, and it's a barefoot race, and you might end up with none.
Darth Angelus is die roll 20, or die roll and then the number of die that you want. If the bot is still online, I see you in chat. Actually, Jermacian asked, well, I'll come back to you, but Jermacian asked, gentlemen, what games would you consider the best speedrun type games, and would you consider the worst speedrun type games, which is kind of what we're on about right now. But really quickly, let me get through the rest of the terminology here that I wrote down. So categories for different games. We just talked about some of those, just different ways of playing the game. You'll often see category percent. So I often, just for the fun of it, say I run no ability percent, which I believe was just inherited from the standard of calling it 100%. If you're playing the full game and you go all the way to the end and you got to get like everything and all the secrets and everything, then 100%, and that made sense. And then basically the percent just got tacked on to everything, regardless of whether it made any sense to be there or not.
Yeah.
Which
it was just like a tag that shows it's a speedrun. I think it's pretty universal at this point.
We've also got SOB. Of course, that's you if you're male. That's SOB is some of best. Some of
Right. I didn't even know what SOB meant other than the if you're a male restriction. So
that's you, and it says something about your mother.
Yes. So some of best in that you take all of your best times ever and
yeah,
that as your...
because most speedrunners are using live split. You're using some kind of a tool for timing, and actually, so that also brings up the term split. Which is the idea of timing all of your various like segments or individual levels or whatever it is you're going to time, instead of just keeping the time from the very beginning to the very end, which is the whole point, and no speed run is done until you hit the finish line. So that's really the only thing that matters for posting to the leaderboards. But for you being able to track how you're doing, and also creating extra segments in terms of, or extra categories to play in, because a lot of speedrun.com boards are dedicated to the segments, to how fast can you run this individual segment if you're not trying to run the game, because it's an entirely different process. If you're trying to run the full game, there may be a number of different strats and routes that have an increased level of safety and surety, but they're not the fastest ones. So running individual levels or running segments as its own category gives you the opportunity to try to go as fast as anyone humanly can through just this segment of the game without worrying about, if I fuck it up, I'm going to ruin in like Super Mario 64, I'm going to ruin an hour and 30-minute run of a game, which would suck. So having these different segments and categories and stuff, it just kind of allows us to play in a lot of different ways and sort of tickle our speedrunner bones.
I like the idea. I wonder if anyone out there on YouTube has put together a sum of best for every video game, but not one person's sum of best. The sum of best of all time for all of humanity. So, like, is there a video out there of Super Mario 64 completed by many different people in the minimum time that it has ever possibly been known to be possible?
And if it doesn't,
that'd be pretty cool.
There's a YouTube video for it. Hundreds of thousands of views over the course of the first year. I'll give you that at least, because that would be really interesting. And it would be something that you could really just put together from speedrun.com, and the boards would be just like reaching in and grabbing the different segments and whoever has the world record in each segment. Can
I retract what I just said? Can we delete it so that we can do it before anyone else does? Because actually, that's a really cool idea for just a video series. Like, if you just wanted to sit down and make these videos, I feel like that's pretty cool.
Houston, can you make it so that we didn't say that back in time?
Yeah, I'll work on that with all my free time.
Okay, good. Thanks.
Yeah, we run him like a slave.
The last
there you
couple
go.
of things in my talking notes about terminology are you've got sum of best, which is, the sum of, you're using live split, you're using some kind of timing thing. It's, collecting all of the best times you ever put on this segment or this individual level. When you add all those up, you get your sum of best. So you can see what is potential if you were doing the best you've ever done on any given run. Holy crap, I could complete Cluster Truck in 21 minutes or something like that. You've got split, which is, when you actually hit the button to end the timing on a certain segment. So that's the split. You've got gold, which is when you do your best split, when you've just, gone faster than you've ever gone on either an individual level or a segment on your split. That's a gold. And then, of course, WR, which you'll see typed a lot, is just world record.
Dun, dun. World record.
World record, which I have had
Shining light.
at least 2 of in the segments in Cluster Truck during my career, and they've all gone away, Harv, because
Yes.
Trixie Mix.
You went away.
Yeah.
Mostly
stopped
because
playing.
you went away, yeah.
Yeah, I stopped playing after some bad mojo from GDQ. I mean, it wasn't from GDQ, but it was around GDQ, and
That's a
just needed some
whole thing to
space.
talk about, isn't it?
It is indeed.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but are there going to be any clips in this clip show?
What?
God, he
That
is
could be
just.
arranged.
Is he on the rag? Is that inappropriate to say?
Maybe. Sure, we'll go with it. We'll go with it. Yeah, maybe he is.
It's a little bit of misogyny every now and then. Come on.
Yeah, just to spice things up, you know.
Let's break up
Bait and switch.
the speed run bait and switch. That just reminds me of, oh God, what is it? Is it
That wasn't the phrase I meant to say.
no, but bait and switch. It's like, is it in Scott Pilgrim versus the World or something? There's characters named Bait and Switch in some
Oh, the two
superhero
characters,
thing.
one name's Bait and one name's Switch.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
Let's break up the cluster or the speed running talk generally. I'm making it about Cluster Truck because I'm a Cluster Truck speedrunner, but it's about speed running generally. Let's break that up with a segment with just some random comedy from Harv.
Yours truly.
Really fucking... All right, I'll just play it. I don't know how to do a segue. I'm thinking speedrunning.
Just
What's my
hard
PB
crash.
on getting into the segues so far? It's not good.
Can we speedrun a show, an episode of Harv and Born, and just go, play, do it. Let's
That
go.
would have been genius for this episode if we just like played 3 seconds of every clip and then we're like, all right, see you later.
Thanks for watching.
Ladies and gentlemen, we present a segment that we're calling A Good Boss.
Good boss.
Good Boss.
Yeah. No, that'll be great. 20 kilograms, right? You think that'll be enough? He's a pretty big fella.
David.
Well, as long as you say so.
Hey.
I guess you guys would know
David.
better than I how much he'd need.
David, this is a workplace. You can't be having loud phone conversations in the middle
Well,
of...
great. Same address as last time. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Hey, boss. Oh, I made this for you.
This is a drawing of a dog. Why have you given me this?
Yeah, he's my dog. His name is Michael.
My name is Michael.
Uh-huh. I named you after him.
Well, look, that's all well and good, David, but we need to have a conversation about when it is and isn't appropriate to be having loud phone Did you say you named me after him?
I was just on the phone to the pet shop. He's such a big fella, he needs a lot of food.
Surely you mean you named him after me?
No, he was called Michael first, so you after him.
There's so much wrong with that, I don't know where to start first. Okay. For starters, you didn't name me. My mother did. And secondly, how old is your dog?
He's 35.
I'm 35.
He's 35 in dog years.
Ah, so
So he's actually 245 years old.
No. No, it's dog years. You're supposed to divide.
Yeah,
not-
each dog year is 7 human years. That's how it works.
Exactly. So your dog is 5 years old. So not only are you saying that your naming assignment completely supersedes my own parents, but you also have a complete lack of grasp on how time works. Is that why you were late to work again this morning?
No. I was drawing that
And as a
picture
software
for you.
engineer, I definitely expect you to have a better understanding of basic maths.
Do you like it?
Okay, David, I think maybe it would be best if we step into my office at this point and we can have a conversation about your future with the company.
Hey, it's a kitty cat.
Oh my god.
Stroke my belly.
Mr. Pussywinkle, what the hell do you think you're doing? This is a...
Okay.
No, David, don't do it. It's a trap. It's always a trap. What the hell am I saying? More importantly, don't stroke your co-worker, because that's guaranteed to get us into another round of sexual harassment lawsuits. And after the last 5, we don't have the finances to bankroll more court expenses. And... What the hell are you doing? I just needed to give you these files. They need your signature by the end of today. Yeah, okay. I'm dealing with these guys. Just let me... What the hell are these? Receipts for 20 kilograms of dog food.
Yeah, I ordered some last week.
But I just saw you ordering
Let
some
me
now.
out! Let me out!
You be quiet, Mr. Pussywinkles. Can I have some of the food when the food arrives? No, it's mine. I need it. It's delicious. What on earth am I saying?
Of course, it's all for you, Michael. Here's a good boy.
David, into my office right this... I'm a good boy.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. That's a good boy.
I'm a good boy?
You're the best boy, Michael. Oh, you're so cute. Oh, you're so cute. Oh, I love you. I love you, smidgens.
I'm a good boy.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. That's a good boy. You're the best boy, Michael.
I'm a good boy.
I love you, smidgens.
Good boy. Oh, damn it. Wait, 20 kilograms? I can't eat that much. I'm not going to be able to fit into my suits for work.
And we're back.
Welcome.
I love your editing. I love your, it's like the massive difference between the segment I wrote last week and the segment that you wrote this week. It's just like the fucking pacing and the dialogue. It's just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth with yours, and then mine is like, hello. Hello.
Hello. Pause.
How are you?
It's definitely
Fine.
just like it's the workflow approach to editing which makes all the difference. Like if you haven't set it up to be able to do that, then it's such a pain to have to go through and do all those subtle overlaps. But if you kind of attack it from the start with that in mind, it's not actually too much work. Yeah, I was telling you earlier that I love that attempt at simulating real conversation, which I'm not saying I did to any great success in that video, but
Oh, I thought
I
it worked
like
really well.
writing dialogue where you have people talking over each other and yeah, stuff like that.
This is about the time in the show where we give you a chance to pee, because maybe we need it too. Maybe we don't. Maybe we just, need to get away from you for a minute. But when we come back, we're going to have a look back at the comments that you've made until now. And so if you've got any questions, because honestly, I've been watching, and there hasn't been a lot of questions, commentary, thoughts about speedrunning and that sort of a thing. Hey, you got yourself an expert right here in the Ronin Pawn, 4th fastest in the... Shut up, Houston. But any questions, any commentary, any ideas, we want to talk about the best speed runs that we've ever seen, the most entertaining to watch. There's a lot of things to talk about in speed running, so let us know during the break here in the comments, and we will read those when we get back. I'll also be coming back to you, Jermacian, ELCGMG, or whatever the hell. I just know you as Jermacian, ECLGMG.
That's the one. And if you are enjoying the show and you want to throw some dollars or some pounds or some euros or some insert currency here our way, you can support us over at patreon.com/harvandporn, or if you don't want to do a monthly ongoing obligation, you can toss us some money, some cash, at paypal.me/harvandporn. And in return, if you pledge on Patreon, you get extra content, even more. God, you think you'd be sick of seeing our faces, but if you're just that obsessed with us, then yeah, you can get behind the scenes content and
we
all sorts of
kind of
other stuff.
Blasted Patreon this week a little bit.
It's
It was
been,
the first week like giving the real dump of stuff, and we're giving out the documents and the notes that we produce in the process of making the show and everything. I think we figured out I think we've got a good like idea for how we can release it all kind of in a good block for you, but there's a lot of stuff on Patreon already and more to come, so please consider supporting us there. It is what will keep us doing this, because it is a consideration almost every day of the week since we started this of, all right, so where am I in the Harv and Pawn schedule of being ready for Wednesday's show?
You should see, Ronan, you've done like the vast majority of all of the administrative organization for this thing. And some of that includes, we should put that, wait, is that on the Patreon? Maybe we'll make this
Like the
available on the
calendar
Patreon if it's not already. But yeah, you made a hang-up wall calendar for every day of the week, which says, okay, do this, set this to unlisted, upload these, append the video parts here, do that. And it's, God, running a show, a weekly show, it turns out, is an amount of work. Today is Wednesday. We show this every Wednesday if you're watching recorded on YouTube right now. We have Thursdays off, and then basically every other day of the week, it's either writing scripts, making content, all sorts of stuff happening there. So, yeah, consider supporting. If not, just hope you enjoy the show. We're going to go to a break right now, and we will be back in 5 or so minutes. Don't forget to ask any questions.
Please listen carefully.
That doesn't work. I thought I'd go to the wide and then the transition. That doesn't. We just sort of swept in from another dimension. Won't do that one again. Welcome back from the break. I hope you had a good pee.
I did.
I have replenished. I'm drinking. Listen, I haven't had any in the house for a couple of days, so I'm actually going through these a little bit quicker than I usually do. But you know, it just makes for a better live stream. You don't know what I'll say about Connor.
We never know what you're gonna say, regardless. But out of pure kind of scientific interests, how many is that tonight now?
Just two.
Just two. Okay,
Just
so another
two.
two by the end of the stream. Gotcha.
Three. Starting on three now. That's going to be three.
I'm still on my first beer. It was frozen, and so I opened it, and I'm trying to decant it now, and it's not going very well.
This is how we time the streams. You know, we know when we've gone too long if there's actually any beer in the bottom of it.
Yeah. It's this is about 1 hour and a half's worth of beer, so just for future reference, maybe by the end of the stream, I'll put it so close to the webcam that you can count the pixels and you can tell me the rate at which. So set your timers right now. This is the depth in the beer right now, and we'll see how much beer is there at the end of the stream. Maybe I'll get to have a small glass, a few sips by the end of this live stream.
Oh, hello, Kiddabob, 22, and have never drunk any alcoholic beverage here in chat. Well, you should, visit Germany and just take in the culture. Is all I'm saying. You know what I'm talking about? Just a little bit of, you wake up, one goes back.
October
Breakfast,
is next month.
one goes back. Lunch, one goes back. I don't know that. Just another one of humanity's many those people over there things. The French, they're smelly. The Germans, they drink quite heavily. The Americans, they're fat and dumb and stupid and racist. Some of them do have a shade of accuracy to them, if I'm honest about it, though.
What about the British?
About the British. Yeah.
What's else there?
You don't return the historical things that you took from people hundreds of years ago when they show up and they're like, hey, any chance now it's 2019? Could we maybe get a little bit of... Yeah, no. We'll keep that, actually. Yeah.
It's ours.
We stole it fair and square.
After a certain amount of time, it basically becomes our property, and I think you'll find. There are laws like that.
Common law
to
marriage
do with
property.
I don't know if this is the case in America or England or both or neither. So I don't know what I'm talking about, basically. But if you squat in a person's home for 7 years, maybe,
Yeah.
then they lose the right to evict you and it becomes your home.
Yeah,
Is that true?
in America, we have something like that. And I think it's from, area to area, state to state kind of thing. But absolutely, yeah. If you squat somewhere, you get squatter's rights if you've been there so long that nobody stepped up and kicked you out and you've been taking care of the property and keeping things up and that kind of thing. Sadly, usually the squatters don't really focus too much on mowing the lawn.
Taking care of the property, yeah. It is interesting, though. I wonder how many times it's actually been an effective way of just gaining property.
It's
Like, if you
actually-
find some settlement which just everyone's left, you just take care of it for 7 years. It's yours. You sell it.
It's actually something that we could use a little bit more of here in Detroit, because we have just gobs and gobs of houses that are just being swallowed up by blight, nobody taking care of them, roofs caving in, and the real estate market doesn't work for those homes either because there's no, like, they're still good homes. I got this one that I'm in for right now for $2,501. We've talked about that before. But you can't sell them. Like, in order to buy this house, I had to work really hard to get the real estate agent to respond to my emails and calls and everything because there's no money in it for them. Where are they gonna? They could either be selling, a house out in the suburbs for $130,000 and making their commission off that, or selling a $2,501 home and making a commission off that. So why would they do it? And
So
we
is
just
it
don't
like-
have a solution to that.
Is it the case that a lot of these houses were kind of listed with these real estate agents and they just have like a huge backlog of them in their portfolios or whatever, and they just can't get rid of them? Or, let's kind of elaborate on that.
Yeah,
I'm not
some
sure
of
I
that.
understand.
Because you've got, like, Fannie Mae homes, which are like I don't think Fannie Mae is a government-sponsored thing. They might get some funding, but I think they're private. But there's various organizations that collect homes that have sort of fallen into disrepair and gone bankrupt and that kind of a thing. And then they're trying to help this problem that we have in America generally by making those homes, like, will write you an incredibly good mortgage, a really good deal, so that you can afford to buy them as a poor person, because this is clearly who we're going to be selling these houses to if anyone's going to take them. So the real estate agents will receive, a sort of portfolio of homes from Fannie Mae. They might have a customer who bought a bunch of homes when they were valuable, often international and Chinese investors and things like that who have bought huge swaths of homes. And then there was a bit of a bubble in the housing market in 2008. And now those homes don't have any value and these people are just trying to get rid of them. So they'll land on the desk of the real estate agents. And that, and in Detroit, we have the Detroit Land Bank Authority, where the city themselves just own these houses because nobody ever paid taxes on them. And you can go to the Detroit Land Bank Authority website and just scroll through hundreds and hundreds, maybe even thousands of homes that are for sale around $1,000 because they just need someone to come in and take them and refurbish them. And if you're ready and willing to actually put the labor in, you look around. I found this place. It had a new roof put on probably in 2008. Everything was gone. All of the utilities missing. But, structurally speaking, these houses were built in 1920s. So the people making them were making them out of, like, blood and guts and sweat and tears and plaster. And there were no cheap building materials. So everything is, like, made to stand for 200-300 years. So the houses are like solid. We just need people to actually, like, buy them and live in them and keep them alive.
Yeah, it's one of those kind of cyclical traps, isn't it? Where you're in an area that only, because of its lack of prosperity, it has a certain type of character to it. And that character keeps away most of the high-income individuals who might bring prosperity. Yeah.
Random Amos says, let's move to Detroit for 7 years, free house next to Pawn. And you're not wrong. There is a house right over there that's free that's next to me. There's a house across the street where, if you don't mind the fact that there were some drug dealers in there for a couple of years, maybe you'll find some free stuff under and
Free
in the back
samples.
of and under. But that's a pretty good house. There's a couple of good houses on my street, and most of them are just collapsing and going to be lost to time. But there's at least two houses here that could be, could be saved, could be salvaged. We could have a neighborhood as opposed to a street where there's like 3 people living in it regularly and 7 houses just being, most of them swarmed by trees and growth that nobody's taking care of.
Yeah.
Did want to look back at the comments from the stream earlier, and really, in terms of speedrunning, you guys apparently aren't that interested because all that I've gotten.
What are we even doing here?
From Jermacian, what games would you consider some of the best speedrun type games, and what would you consider the worst speedrun type games? And I know for a fact that Harv, you went at speedrunning Mirror's Edge.
Yes, I did. And Mirror's Edge is like, if there's a game which is designed with speedrunning in mind, it's Mirror's Edge. The whole point is parkour. It's running. It's free running. It's like, it literally has that practically in its mission description. And I was never particularly good at it. I mean, I put in the hours. Mirror's Edge is a game that you typically, on your first run through, might play in 5 hours. I got down to a 1 hour time. Which isn't on any leaderboards, but it was fast for me.
Yeah.
And in total, I played about 150 hours of the game. So that was a lot of attempts at getting under 1 hour. Never got there.
It's actually, I'm going to pull up right now in my library and see how many hours I've got into Cluster Truck.
I imagine it's quite a few.
Comparison. Cluster Truck,
Yeah.
hours played 811.
Yeah, so see, I never really got anywhere with Mirror's Edge, but 150 hours is still a fairly long time to play a game.
Well, and off the top of my head, too, in talking about Mirror's Edge, I'm thinking Portal. Portal is a speedrun game.
Well, there's
That
loads
seems
of
to lend
great,
itself.
yeah, there's loads of great like weird categories for Portal as well, because you've got ones which are like minimum number of portals, which exploit a whole load of level design issues, which are just amazing. There's ones. Oh, one of them is a speedrun of the game where you can't turn. You can't turn the mouse, like you can't look around.
What?
And the way it works is you're allowed to shoot portals directly in front of you. And if you can do that at like certain corners on certain walls, then the angle of the level means that you shoot a portal in front of you, but it adheres to the wall at an angle. So when you go through it, you are then turned in space. And so you can manipulate that in order to turn and to face the way you need to go.
I'd never heard of that.
Good. It's amazing. There's some great videos on YouTube. It's just...
I just remember playing
speedrunning.
Portal because it had so many different, like it had speedrunning built into it, or it had a various number of things like least number of steps and stuff like that. And I remember playing all those modes once I beat the game because it's such a good game that like just playing it again and looking for these different ways to do it, least number of steps, quickest way through and everything. It was just natural in Portal to go into those things. And again,
High
something
precision.
that the developers absolutely exploited, it's incredible because Portal, from what I've heard, was Valve's stocking stuffer, right? Like it wasn't even like
kind
a
of.
major
So-
production. It was just like, we need something else. How about something simple, puzzly? All right, go. And then you got Portal.
The original Portal game was made by a small team. I don't know whether they were even within Valve or whether Valve then acquired them before release. But certainly, yeah, like Portal, the original Portal was a small team of guys who were just making a puzzle game, and then it blew up the way it did, and then Portal 2 happened, and it had all of Valve's might behind it, and somehow wasn't quite as good.
Yeah, yeah. That was...
Depending on how you looked at it.
I never finished Portal 2 because it was...
Oh, really?
It was just... It was like... You can't live up to Portal in the first place, but it was... It was fine, is what it was. Like, that's all you can say about it. Like, I can't
No, it was a
denigrate
good
it.
game.
It had a lot of character, a lot of interesting things going on, added
It
some new
was-
mechanics, the
It just
storytelling
had
was there.
it had just younger brother syndrome. It was in the
Yeah.
shadow of Portal the entire time. That's the only thing that was wrong with it. Like, it's like trying to live up to Jesus. Can you imagine being the younger brother of Jesus? Hi, my name's Dave. Oh, what do you do then? You got any special powers? Have you saved humanity any at all recently? No, but I also do carpentry.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
a better
just-
carpenter than
yeah.
he is.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, Dave might be great, but yeah. I think I loved Portal 1 and 2, and I played them quite a time apart as well, and that was a good way to do it, I think. Definitely, if you play 1 and then immediately play Portal 2, or even if you've just idealized Portal 1 in your head to that degree, it's not going to be a good time.
Yeah, it was
But
much
yeah.
more cinematic and story based and character building and stuff like that. And it's again, you can't say anything like truly negative, like, oh, they didn't do good there. It's not Portal. Like I think they must have just lost something in terms of I think just from having a small development team trying to make the best out of a small thing, because they took a very
It was-
simple mechanic, I mean, not simple, but a very like it's a simple mechanic. It's just like groundbreaking mechanic. And then it was all about like the characterization of you in reference to this one godlike deity voice that's following you around everywhere, and the humor of it. And that's all they really worked with there. And it just got too big in Portal 2. It was too much about the characters, I guess.
So basically, the only thing I think they really missed the mark on in Portal 2 was the understatement of a lot of the character of the game. Like, Portal 1, with the low budget and having to work for what they had, there was a lot of just like little quirky things behind walls and stuff like that, which all kind of went into making it great. And in Portal 2, they knew that was what was great about it, and so they did it with might and gusto.
Gusto.
And that, exactly, and that kind of lost the charm of it to some degree. But like, I still think Portal 2 is a fantastic game, and if you're looking for great voice acting and great story and kind of immersion and atmosphere, it's better than Portal 1 in many ways.
Johnson.
Yeah. Oh, what is it? When life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Tell life to take the lemons back. Get mad. I don't want any of your damn lemons. What am I supposed to do with these? Yeah. Tell your engineers to invent a combustible lemon and send them to Life's house and burn his house down. Something like that. Yeah.
We've gotten so far away from speedrunning. We just haven't settled on
We have.
speedrunning at all. That's fine. That's fine.
That's fine. We're
what
just having
we
a
do.
chat. Having a chat about it.
I did see a comment in the comments. That's where I usually find the comments, is in the comment. I saw one earlier that I wanted to reply to, but I can't seem to. You're actually talking now. Let's see. The French started drinking at 3 years old. What? No, that's.
Back to the cultural.
Speedrun KSP, plane to space, orbit, furthest planet, etc. It's entirely a possible thing that you could do a speedrun of KSP. What are you doing? Harv?
There was a
Pawn.
comment saying which one of you is Harv and which one of you is Porn.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah, I'm the porn.
He makes all the porn. Yeah, KSP speedruns are definitely legit. I think there's been a few. I've not seen too many.
Leave us
from
on the
what I can
scene for a
remember.
while. I'm sick of pressing buttons. Fuck this shit.
You're just phoning in this entire episode, aren't you? Just like, the segment description's not the main event talk isn't going as well, and just fuck it.
You know what? Just
I'm on my
excuse me.
third or fourth beer.
Excuse me for a minute, everybody. Just. Alright, that's gonna go on for way too long. I can't just stand here having a pee for. That's a 30-second long clip.
That was a clip. Oh, thank God. Yeah.
But all right, so if we're gonna do speed running, if we're gonna talk about speed running, let me at least talk about some of the memorable runs that I've seen. First off, Super Mario Odyssey by Bayleaf at GDQ. This year's GDQ, I think, SGDQ 2019. Super Mario Odyssey by Bayleaf. He had Spike Vegeta on the couch, which is basically the best commentator for speedrunning that exists. And
Oh,
that
really?
is, yeah, it's like an epic fucking run to watch, too, because I mean, it's like a 3 hour long watch. They did, what's it called? Dark Side, I think? Which is a category where you have to do a little bit more than average or something. I don't know anything about Odyssey. I don't have a Switch or a Wii or anything like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like this in particular, this speedrun is fucking epic, and you have to see it just because of like the situation in the crowd. GDQ, games done quick. The speedrunning event of the year, twice a year, where they're raising money, usually for something like Doctors Without Borders or just cancer against cancer, not pro cancer, but against cancer. They're raising money.
But cancer doesn't get much support these days, and so
I don't know, just racism again. But yeah, that's an incredible run because it's like one of the final runs, maybe the final run of the show. I'm not sure, but they're like pushing to try and get to like break a certain mark, and I think it might have been $2 million, Harvey.
whoa.
And throughout this run, and it's just fucking epic to watch. The run and great commentating and a great run, and the crowd is back there just like pushing
And this
for
is-
donate more. Fucking
This is Super Mario Odyssey, is it?
yeah, the latest one, right?
I
Is
need
it?
to.
Yeah.
I want to watch this. This sounds awesome.
Yeah, that one is awesome. Now, one that's slightly less awesome that I would still recommend is Resident Evil by, I'm just looking at my notes, Pessimism. That's right, by Pessimism at, I think that was a 2018 GDQ, and it is a much more laid back kind of a thing. But Pessimism walks in and sits down, and he is this totally fucking metal dude. Like hair down to his thighs, just you know that he wears a Pantera shirt when he's not on the show, and just like just total fucking metal. And he just sits down with that image, and he proceeds to be like the sweetest fucking thankful runner that you've ever seen. Just every single donation that comes in, he's like, thank you, bro, much love. And just every single donation, he's like mentioning their names and stuff, and it's just great. He has a really, really shitty couch for that run. There's one guy in particular who's just like saying everything he just said again. It's annoying as hell. But like the fact that he deals with that, and he's running, and he's like paying attention to chat and moving donations along and stuff, it's something, it's very like, I guess that's
Humbling
more of
to
a,
watch.
once you're in the GDQ sort of route of watching a bunch of GDQ stuff, there's something to that that's like, that's a good runner. I'll never be that runner. I'll never be the guy who's that sweet.
I think there's always something really special about just online communities in general. Like, a lot of them are toxic, horrible, awful shit, but
Sorry about
when
that,
you
by the way.
find when you find that, like, there's some community that you really gel with, and GDQ, for all of its flaws, which I know there's been bad blood a little bit with you, it's got that, the speedrunning community there, and the whole charity drive and everything. It's so cool. They do have some of the worst couch commentating casters that I've ever seen, though. And it's not their fault. It's because they want speedrunners to talk, which is fine and all. But just some speedrunners weren't ever made to do commentary. And
And I much
this
prefer a
one-
speed run where, like, if you're not that guy, if you're not the runner who can do the commentary, I much prefer a speed run where it's just like you don't say anything. Like maybe 3 sentences throughout the run and you're just completely in it.
Or
But
just
you've
handle
got a good
donations.
couch. But you've got a good couch. And, the person behind you is just handling all of that. That works out great. when you've got like
Yeah.
someone who's good at running and talking, and there's someone on the couch who's also trying to talk.
That's like God tier. Oh, wait, someone's trying to talk and no, it's ruins it.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, if they're both really good, I mean, if you and I had gone to GDQ, like I had fucking planned, like my whole thing for like months was preparing to be able to do this 30-minute, sub 30-minute, cluster truck run. And I didn't tell you shit about it. I wasn't going to tell you, hey, I want to, if I get into GDQ, I'll like pay for your plane ticket. But I was going to fucking pay for your
my
plane
God.
ticket, Harv. I was going to
Oh
like
my
offer
God,
you.
really?
Like, I knew you were in university and I didn't know if it was going to work out, but like if it worked out, we got into GDQ, I was going to be like, boom, I will pay for your plane ticket. I can't pay for the housing. I don't know, we got to split. We got to just work that out. But God damn it, you and me, I'll do the run, you do the couch, I mean, fuck, you raised with me there occasionally. What in total, like over, it's close to 40 grand. $53,000 for charity water.
And that was charity water. Yeah, we then did this other stuff, which wasn't as successful. But still, I think it was then a few £1,000s for Macmillan cancer support. But yeah. I would fucking love to go to GDQ. Can we try again? Can we get on there?
Well, that's kind of
be
the
amazing.
problem. That's one of the reasons why I'm very salty, is that Cluster Truck is not a game that's going to be run very often. Speedrunning in general is way more popular when you're running on consoles, and they ran Cluster Truck in the any percent category with Twitch, I think in 2018 or 2017. And so the fact that they accepted my category, no ability percent, in 2019, and first accepted me, and then a couple hours later or some amount of time later released a updated list where it wasn't me, means that there is very little chance that we will see another no ability percent run of Cluster Truck where I could do my no ability. So if we are going to go to GDQ, then I'm going to have to pick up any percent.
Wasn't it that they changed who was running it, but didn't change the category? And so was it just some guy who hadn't actually run that category before, or wasn't known for
Not
that
quite
category?
that, but they did accept a run in my category, and it was literally like the other runner who had proposed a run, Connor Ace, and I feel like the reason he ran at all in Cluster Truck that year, because he runs a number of other games, GoldenEye? He runs a number of other games. He's been to GDQ before. He did Cluster Truck in the any percent category before, but I feel like probably the only reason why he submitted at all was because I reached out to him and said, hey, I got an idea. If I get in for no ability percent, I'll pitch the idea of, like, we could do a Cluster Truck block where one of us runs no ability and one of us runs any percent. You get to see the difference between them, and it's like, it could be a whole thing. I mean, the odds of them going for that are whatever they are. But here's the idea. And then if you get in for any percent, you submit an any percent, then you can do the same for me in no ability percent. And then I submitted in no ability percent, and Connor submitted in no ability percent and any percent.
Oh, wow.
After we'd already talked about that. Yeah. And he got accepted with a estimate of runtime for 27 minutes. That was his estimate to GDQ. Now, if you don't know about Games Done Quick and their policies when it comes to submitting runs, it is made 1,000% clear while you're submitting the run that what we want from you as a speedrunner is please give us a guarantee of 99% that you can complete your run within the time you're estimating. And it literally says on the page, I'm paraphrasing, but it's very much like this: we know that things happen, that things are going to go wrong, there's a lot of nerves involved being on stage, hundreds of thousands of people watching from home. We're cool with that. We know that it's not, necessarily going to go perfectly. Please give us a reasonable time, 99% you feel confident that you can put it in. Connor submitted a 27-minute time.
Yeah.
27-minute time is a time that he does not have to this day on the leaderboards in this category, no ability percent. Now, I've seen a run that he made that he submitted to GDQ in our Discord chat for the Cluster Truck Speedrunners, and that would be a world record. if he submitted that run to the boards. But it's now been like 6-8 months since SGDQ 2019, and the run that he apparently sent to them has not been submitted to the leaderboards, which just begs a whole number of questions.
Yeah, it's a weird kind of tangle of different things, isn't it? Yeah. I don't wanna have you relive the pain too deeply of that, but I do enjoy watching GDQ, and yeah, the point I was going to make was that I'm not surprised they go for that in terms of having people. Look, it's fine. We're not necessarily looking for world records. We're wanting to make something that's entertaining and to raise money for charity. It's far more about the process and the speedrunning itself, rather than necessarily trying to get a world record in the run. So give us an estimate that's reasonable, that's 99.9% likely. And it's weird then. I mean, I guess they had a whole host of reasons, but if they then selected candidates based on estimated runtime, it kind of just, yeah, it's, you think you'd almost want someone who is, you'd think you would check that their track record can show that they can run it in the time they're saying, for starters, but
Yeah, that would be my big, like, GDQ, please implement this as part of your selection process, that no run will be accepted that hasn't been voir dired, that hasn't been considered by speedrun.com moderators, that hasn't been approved by the community of speedrunners, because it is so easy in any run to just pull out the old editor, you know, and submit your run to the Premiere Pro or Sony Vegas % category, and make up a run that you're never going to submit to the leaderboards, Connor. You know, if he submits it, then I'll be completely like, you know, just what a dick I am of claiming that. No, I just didn't ever bother uploading it because reasons. But, you know, it's like having a confirmed time on the leaderboards and also showing that you care about your community. You know, because going to GDQ is representing your speedrunner community. A lot of people have put in a lot of time and a lot of work in order to create strats and routes and work this system down to the point where you can run it as fast as you have. And if you don't think that you've inherited anything from anyone and you did it all yourself, you're lying to yourself. It's a community effort, and you're going to represent people on the biggest stage that speedrunning has. So, you know, care about that stage enough to submit your times, and, you know, if you've got a world record breaking run, submit your world record breaking run. But I will say this as a you know, I'm trying to not jump up and down on my personal disappointment with the Connor Ace situation. Connor has been to GDQ twice to run Cluster Truck. He has never come in underestimate. That's it. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Never come in under his estimate.
Okay, to close that out, and let's not spiral into a whole nother conversation about Connor Ace. Luffy Loop asks, what time did he get in the end then?
It was, I think, a low 128. And, you know, he was really close at the SGDQ, too. It was a very respectable run. 128 in no ability, in no reset, you know, it's a very respectable run. And if you hadn't said you could do 127, then then it'd be fine. But, you know, you ran against other runners, you submitted to GDQ, charity organization that's trying to organize a 7-day-long 24-hour
No.
event.
I said we don't go down the path. Come on, Bon. Bring it back.
But yeah, 128, and it really came down. He was close too. He had like a 127.15 or something is probably what he was going in for, and then he died 3 times on 910 on the final level of the game, which can happen in no ability percent, and maybe you should consider that. Oh wait, sorry.
All right, I think this is one of those perfect times for a Houston interjection to say, we got a clip to run.
Oh,
hey, if you guys want to run a segment, now or never, I gotta pee.
Okay.
Thanks for backing me up there, Houston. Nice one. Nice timing.
I'll get you a button where you can do that.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe just like a exclamation command you can put in chat and it'll play a sound on my computer.
I'll just have a sign. I'll just and it's just got a play clip sign. Yes,
All
I
right,
believe we
well,
have one more.
Yeah, after a number of years, we've all been waiting for a very long time to see a very special piece of content that has been, it's been lingering out there. A lot of people have been waiting for. We've all been waiting for. We all want to see. And today, finally, we're bringing it back to you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We're here to deliver. Harv returns to KSP. You're welcome.
We now present that which has been long awaited. Harv returns to KSP. Please enjoy. My feet are so sore from having to segue all the way here. How on earth did we end up staying somewhere that was so many miles from the single location we were intending to visit?
Yeah, well, I don't know what you want from me, okay? I booked the hotel from the other side of the planet. I've never been to this country before.
If my mum had booked this for us, she would have found a hotel much closer.
Yeah, well, it's always about your mother, isn't it?
Oh, and what's that
I'm
supposed
just
to
saying,
mean?
you bring it up quite a bit, don't you, hon?
Don't you ever
Alright, I
call
know
me
you don't
that.
like being called that.
I don't like being called that by
me.
you. Because when you call me that, you make it sound all sarcastic.
Next time, you can make the reservations, okay?
Yeah, and I'll book the hotel that's literally
Listen,
right
let's just-
behind
alright,
you.
We're getting down to a dark place. We need to take this shot, alright? It's your big return to KSP. People have been waiting years for this. So let's just stop being a...
Oh, being a what porn? You weren't going to call me that again, were you? That I'm a control freak exactly
No, I wasn't
like
gonna
my mother?
say like your mother, okay? Just let's just do this, all right? And in 3, 2, 1.
Oh, they're so sore. Don't take a photo of me rubbing my foot. I don't want a photo of this. Thank you for
Yes, we've both been given wedgies. Damn
God
it.
damn it, Boshi Paul. What is your fascination? What's going on, man?
I cut off the freaking clip again too. I did a freaking Harv to KSP thing. I can't remember that there's an outro that I literally asked you to put in. Like, I was like, this segment would be better if there was like an outro that did the same thing at the intro, and then every time I fucking cut it off.
Just wait for the BBC end screen. I don't see what's so hard. Stop me so paranoid.
I'm trying to just... You're right. You're right. Actually, in terms of wedgies and stuff, in high... Go on about your business. I'm verklempt. In high school, it wasn't an embarrassing moment, but I remember it. And I don't remember much from high school. I've blocked most of it out. Because,
Naturally.
yeah, the rest of it was just awful. But
Gotta suppress.
I remember walking down the hall, and somebody, probably not a friend, because people were just vicious in high school, ran up, grabbed my shorts from the back, pulled them down, and I just, looked around for a second, reached down, pulled my shorts up, and kept walking. And it was just, nothing. And maybe that says something about my high school experience in America was like, oh yeah, somebody tried to expose my genitalia today. Guess it's Tuesday.
I mean, that's just school children everywhere, to be fair, I think.
I think in America we're just going, well, at least they weren't shooting. That's nice.
Fucking hell, man. I was having a conversation with my girlfriend's parents the other day about American school shootings, and I saw something on the news recently about a load of people praising how forward-thinking this new school is being by designing their building to have curved hallways so that the shooters can't shoot down them.
Oh my god.
Symptom, not the, fucking hell. God. Prevent it. Don't treat the symptom. Jesus.
So this reminds me of Once Upon a Time I wrote a limerick. And it goes like this. How much would you say could be done in a day, and how much of it do you remember? And if it were all, do you think you'd recall that you did it last year in November? Did you pay with a 10 but forget it again, that the spot in Savannah's worth 5. Do you think that the flies all have media ties and report to those not yet alive? Do you invite the one who just might have a gun to make long-distance calls to Japan? Do you bulletproof walls in the stadium halls and check diapers for bombs from Iran? I guess what I'm saying is, are you awaiting a raven to tell you you're lazy? Does the room often bleed and might you be in need of some Thorazine? Hey, are you crazy?
I think America is a bit crazy. That was awesome. That was some good limerick writing.
Yeah.
I've never managed to sit down for long enough to write a limerick and take it seriously. Because it just seems like such a joke.
Yeah, it's got such a fun, light freaking meter and pace.
Yeah, it works. It works well for that kind of dark existential political edge. Hey.
Redbotic says, I saw people started a change.org have Scott Manley do the tutorial videos for KSP. Should we start one for Pawn to do the 50s cringe videos? I don't know. We've got Harv and Pawn was probably the most cringe-worthy thing that I've seen in a while.
Right.
Available on youtube.com/HOC Gaming. Visit today. Subscribe.
Yes.
That's
and
where
pledge on
all of the
Patreon
VODs come
and
down,
so on
by
and
the
so
way.
forth. Yeah. All of the archives are there, or they're on Patreon if you happen to be a Patreon
Yeah, in the
supporter,
long
get them
run,
early.
they show up at HOC Gaming. But if you're a supporter and give us money over patreon.com/HOC, no, Harv and Pawn, Patreon, then
right.
you get early access to all the content from all of the shows, including editorial notes and production things and blabbity blobbity blue and that sort of a bit. And also, if you don't want to get yourself stuck in giving us money every month, which we would prefer, thank you very much, then you could support us at paypal.me/HarvinPawn with one-time, hey, here's $5 in the hat. How's it doing? Oh, wow. Massive improvement.
I mean, it's getting there.
Yeah.
I now have a few sips of beer available. But someone analyze the pixel height change. Tell me the average rate. Obviously, I'm not an idiot. I understand that the rate of increase in the volume is not going to be linear. It's probably going to be, I don't know, maybe quadratic, depending on the surface area of the can that's exposed to the temperature of the air and the laws of thermodynamics regarding heat change across different energy levels.
You're gonna need some cosines in there, but yeah, figure it out and let us
Just
know.
average. Well, I think that about wraps it up. This has been a bit more of a talky Harv and Pawn, just kind of talking about stuff. I feel like, honestly, we could keep going on speedrunning alone for a very long time, just swapping, things that are used to exploit games and our favorite runs and whatnot. There's so many I can think of.
Oh yeah, and in addition, oh wait, that's the wrong one. In addition, you may notice that on the sides of my chair right here, there are just these silvery balls right there. There used to be arms attached to those, which would fold up and fold down. They're not there anymore, because that's what happens when you speedrun no ability percent in cluster truck. You just kind of, and then boom, and you pull them both off and go, oh, damn it.
Oh, right. I thought you were going to make some sort of clever, I took them off because I need superior elbow movement to be able to get the key presses in the right kind of tempo. And,
I just broke them off in the middle of a live stream out of, table flip rage anger at the game. Yeah, just
fair.
I just they slide up and down, so I was like, and then I was like, these used to be attached to something, didn't they? That was a fun day, says Hologram One. It was, and we will have more fun days in future here on twitch.tv/HarvinPawn every 9 p.m. UK time, 4 p.m. Eastern on the Wednesdays, like we like to do.
Yes, that's right. Thank you very much for watching Harv and Pawn. And we'll see you again next week. If you have any ideas for what you want us to talk about, any suggestions
Oh, yeah, that'd be
for
great.
anything, then we're dying out here. Seriously, man, or woman or other, please help.
Yeah, like a third of our speedrunning episode was about Lovecraftian fiction, and neither of us have read Lovecraft.
Yeah,
so
it doesn't matter. We don't need
help.
to be experts on the subject. Most of the people you see talking on TV and the news are not experts themselves in whatever they're going on about. So just, please, content, help.
Plus, those jerks are mostly just standing in front of green screens pretending to be where they are. Anderson Cooper with your disappearing nose. What a bunch of losers. All right, we'll
We
see
would
you
never
next
do something
Wednesday at
so
4 p.m., 9 p.m., all that stuff. Harv and Pawn, out. Okay, I pressed the wrong button there. Definitely pressed the wrong button.
Harv, Pawn, Harv, Pawn, Harv and Pawn, and 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 Harv and Pawn. Harv and Pawn.
And we are clear. Good job, I guess. I wasn't really watching.